What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid, and here's something a little bit different for you guys. Now, I did give a little hint last week that I would be starting a new series from today onwards, and this is a series that is going to be going every single Monday, called Mobile Monday Madness, a series where we take a look at a bunch of mobile games. So, we're going to be taking a look at quite a few things related to them. Are they fun? Are they not fun? Are they full of microtransactions? You know, and just general, is it something you can play for a long period of time? Or is it really only, you know, a game for when you're on the toilet, essentially? Because let's be honest, I imagine everybody watching this does occasionally play a game when they're on the toilet. Because, well, you know, it's just what we all do. So, let's kick things off, shall we, with episode number 1. And in this video, guys, we're going to be taking a look at Idle Monster TD, aka Idle Monster Tower Defense. Now, obviously, as the name implies, it is a tower defense game. However, unlike the more traditional conventional tower defense games where you're typically controlling like a human race or something like that, and you're fighting monsters, this is sort of a little backwards. Instead, we are actually controlling monster units, and we're fighting robots and aliens. Yep, you heard me right. Now, what sets this game apart really is, as I mentioned, you actually do control monsters instead, and there's quite a few. So let's take a look at that first, shall we? So basically there are 4 monsters per tier with multiple tiers. And obviously, as you can see over here on the right hand side, they do have elements with them. So there are 4 elements in the game. There's water, air, earth, and fire. I don't know why the air monsters have a lightning symbol, but yes, they are actually air elemental. So if we take a look at the tiers now, we've got common, we've got uncommon, we've got rare, ultra rare, legendary, mythic, celestial, and godly. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the downsides of the game. Pretty much anything below godly is 99% useless. So once you actually work up your way to godly, you will actually be using godlies for a very, very long time. There is, however, a use for a couple of the lower tier units, though. However, you won't actually get their uses until you're trying to push like wave 8,000, wave 9,000, and things like that. So for the vast majority of the game, you're basically going to be working your way up to godly units, and then once you get your godly units, you're going to be on them for a very, very long time. Now, there is actually one more set of monsters as well, the exotics. However, these work a little bit differently. You see, exotics don't actually attack anything. Instead, these are more buffing monsters. So we have Squiddler, Nimbus, Treefer, and Heat Rash. Now, obviously, as you can see, it does say buff tower does not attack. So if we actually take a quick look at, say, Nimbus, for example. So Nimbus gives all monsters within range a 25% critical hit chance. All enemies killed within range drop extra gold. All monsters within range gain more EXP. And last but not least, you gain another little bit of a bonus. For Nimbus, it's going to be critical. And then also you can increase the range as well. So that is essentially the go-to on the monsters. Now, because it is a tower defense, obviously the name of the game is to get through as many waves as possible. This is both good and bad. So if we take a look at the leaderboard very quickly, now the leaderboards do reset, by the way, so they do have seasons on the game. So currently we're in season 6, this one ends in 3 days. So as you can see, number 1 is on 11,758. That takes a long time to get up to. That does take a very, very long time to get up to. For example, if I quickly show off my rank, I'm only at 4,200 waves. And I've been playing this game now for about 2 months. So again, it's not one of those things that you're going to very quickly max out and, you know, you're going to hit a wall very, very fast. No, it's not like that. So this game does actually have a sort of a progression curve to it. So obviously when you start off, you're not going to be making a whole lot of progress straight off the bat. You know, it's like, for example, to unlock the godly monsters, you're probably going to take a few days to a week, depending on how much you actually play. Because even though the game does have idle in its name, that's actually a little bit of a lie, unfortunately. So when it comes to idle, the only thing that you actually gain idly on this is you essentially gain some gold when you're offline, basically. But there is a 4-hour limit to that. You can buy a pass with real money to remove that limit, but honestly, the amount of gold you gain just makes it a rather worthless purchase, in my opinion. Aside from that, you do obviously get your daily bonuses each day, but I'm not going to accept that just yet because I actually need to change map before I accept that. But we'll get on to that shortly. So, as I mentioned, there is a progression curve, and the reason for this is just how many upgrades there are in this game. So you do have to obviously start working your way through the list. So let's take a look at that now, shall we? So here we have the active spells, and these spells range from, you know, your usual do an instant amount of damage to enemies, increase your damage, increase the EXP you gain, instantly deplete a percentage of monster health, you attack faster, you gain more gold, and so on and so forth. And then there is another one as well which increases the game's speed. Now this is quite a good one. It's just a shame it's so expensive on the essence. Anyway, now because it is an idle game, these spells can be auto-casted. However, in order to do this, you do have to spend a resource known as gems. Now, this is a little bit of contention for me with this game. So, essentially, you can gain gems in two ways. You can either pay real money for them, which I will show a little bit later, or you can do a few things in game to gain them as well. So, for example, every now and again you'll see this little flying thing floating around. This is essentially an ad. So once you click on that, you can watch an ad to gain a buff or a bonus. So the buffs and bonuses are: you deal double damage for 2 minutes, you gain double gold for 2 minutes, you gain double EXP for 2 minutes, you gain a set amount of gold, which is based on your progress. You gain a set amount of essence, which again is based on your progress. And the last one is you gain 10 gems. Now, these rotate in the order I just mentioned, so you can pretty much always tell what's going to be next. Aside from that, though, you can get gems another way as well, which is through achievements. So you do have your normal achievements right here, which will give you an increasing amount of gems for each one you complete. But then you do also have daily missions as well. So once again, you can earn gems quite easily in-game. Now, the daily missions do reset every day. However, they are the same missions every single day. So these missions you're seeing right here, these are the same missions that it is every single day. So, you know, once you get in the hang of doing your daily missions, you will end up getting a fair few gems, like as you can see here. This is after a fair while though. So don't be worried if you're building up gems very, very slowly. Okay, so as I mentioned, you do have to spend gems to unlock the auto-cast amount. So the auto-cast amount is essentially how many spells you can auto-cast. So because you're only allowed to use 4 spells at once, I've obviously already maxed out and I have all 4. Aside from that, there's the auto-cast timer. Now, this is a rather big drain on gems early on, and one of the reasons why this definitely is more of an actual play game rather than an idle game. You see, in order to max this out, you need around 2,000 gems, because what this means is, essentially, when your spells come off cooldown, they will not cast instantly. Instead, there will be a second timer that counts down, and that will be when it auto-casts. Once you get this to max level, though, there is no secondary timer. The spells will just auto-cast as soon as they come off cooldown. And then you can set it to where your spells only auto-cast on boss waves, which is every 5th and 10th wave, respectively. Okay, so that's the spells endgame. Let's take a look at the research. Now, the research is broken down into Tier 1 research, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. And in order to get these researches, you use what is called Essence. Now, you can get Essence in multiple ways. So, bosses drop it, there are resource haulers that drop it, there is a skill as well, which is the Essence Storm skill, which gives your kills a chance to drop Essence randomly. And finally, there is Squidler, one of the exotic towers, which does also give all enemies that die within range a 10% chance to drop Essence when it's maxed. So early on, Essence is actually going to be going up very, very slowly. Once you actually start getting your upgrades going though, and you get the skills going, Essence is actually something that will go up very, very quickly, to be fair. So I wouldn't really worry too much about Essence. It is a bit of a slow gain at the start, as I said, but once you do start progressing, that will go up pretty quickly. Now, a lot of the actual upgrades for Essence, they can actually max out. So they do have maxes, like attack speed maxes at level 10, for example, range maxes at level 10, and so on and so forth. There are a few abilities, though, that will continually go on until level 9,999, which is damage, kill XP, gold drop, and multi-card DPS. So all these will basically continue leveling up, and every single time you increase their level, they get a little bit more expensive. So for example, gold drop is level 76, and it needs 3,850 essence. So if I increase that, it goes to 3,900. So again, the more you play, the more you are going to progress, but then also sort of the harder it becomes to progress. It's like I said, there is a progression curve, but it's very varied. So it starts off rather slow, then it will speed up quite a bit, but then again it will slow down around, you know, sort of around wave 5 to 6,000. So, let's move on to the next one, which is artifacts. And artifacts you gain basically every 5 floors you complete. And these range from increased damage to bosses, extra gold, extra prestige points. I'll touch on prestige points in a moment. You know, extra kills and things like that. So again, that's just your very basic set of upgrades, pretty much an upgrade for everything in the game, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, as I mentioned though, you do gain these pretty much every 5 waves, so you are going to get all of these unlocked sooner or later, and once you get to about wave 700, it is worth actually re-rolling this, just so all those tier 1 artifacts you get, you can actually re-roll and pretty much max out like your tier 4 artifacts, which you actually unlock a lot later. So again, that would give you like a very big boost essentially. So these are your basic upgrades in the game, but there are actually a lot more upgrades, and this is why the game will not be, you know, you won't be done with this game within a week or two or anything like that, just because of the sheer number of upgrades. So here we have the relics, and relics are essentially what you prestige for. So as you can see right now, I'm on wave 1047, still continually going and so on and so forth. And what I can do is I can prestige. So this will reset my wave, my gold, and my tower levels. So for example, my conduit is level 4000. If I prestige, that'll be level 1 again, basically. But that's fine. I mean, it's easy enough to level up anyway using gold. But what this will give me is prestige points, and you can then use these prestige points to level up a bunch more abilities. Now, if you've ever played an idle game, then you're probably sort of familiar with this mechanic, as it is pretty much the same across the board for most of them. So again, looking at the abilities, you know, you've got your range, your damage, your crit, your EXP, your gold drop, and things like that. However, there is actually a temporary boost as well, which will give you 4 random boosts, which you can keep spending your prestige points on up to a maximum level of 50. Now, this will give you a very, very, very big increase in, you know, gold income, damage, all that sort of stuff. However, it is only going to last for that prestige. So this is pretty much what you would want to spend your relic points on when you are going for a new high wave count. But other than that, like, I would typically say sort of ignore these. There is the tech tree, which is one of the probably best things about this game, in my opinion. So this is obviously how you unlock your exotic heroes right there. You do have to work your way down to them, but then you will also gain a multitude of other upgrades as well. So you'll gain things like extra gold offline, extra damage, extra range, extra prestige points, and so on and so forth. Basically, if there is something in this game, there will be an upgrade for it here in the tech tree. So definitely a nice little touch and something that will keep you going. And last but not least, there is the tournament. So tournament, again, is actually broken up into tiers. There's tier 1, 2, 3, and all the way up to tier 4. Now, for this, you actually need a special resource, which is called tournament points. And to get tournament points, you have to take part in a tournament. So these tournaments take place every Wednesday and every Friday. So, sorry, not Friday, every Wednesday and every Sunday. Now, when you start or join a tournament, it will essentially reset you back to the first wave. It's sort of like prestiging, basically. So it's essentially a mock prestige, and for the rewards you do gain a bunch of gems and you gain a bunch of tournament points. Now I've only actually just recently started this tournament, so I'm still like way below at the very bottom. Other than that though, let's take a look at the actual abilities, shall we? So these abilities are essentially... There's essentially one of everything for the tournament points. You know, you've got all your increases, your damage increases, your extra gold, your spell cost reduction, and things like that. Definitely one of the harder ones to max out, but also definitely one of the better ones to max out, in my opinion. However, obviously, because of the limited tournaments, this does take a little bit of time to get into. And now we come on to the final upgrade, all the upgrades that cost gems. Now I did say that gems were a purchasable item, so here they are, here's the prices. So obviously you don't actually get a lot for such big money, and the gem costs are actually quite expensive. So in my opinion, this is a little steep for how many gems you do actually get, simply due to the fact I did work it out, and even though some of these boosts do have maxes, some don't, like the damage boost, for example, extra gold, extra EXP and things like that. They effectively go on for level 9,999. Now, I worked out how many gems you would need to max everything, including getting these boosts up to the maximum level, and it came out to about 49 years worth of time, providing you hit all of the gem boosts a day. You know, you do all your daily achievements and things like that. So yeah, you're never going to completely max everything on this list, basically. However, the general consensus online is essentially just max out the maxables, get a few points in the others, and then just save your gems for something else, which is the resource packs. So, obviously, in a normal game, you would actually spend real money to get resource packs. That's not the case in this game. Instead, you would actually spend gems to unlock them. So, as you can see right here, the most expensive one is 1,000 gems. And this is for the Resource Pack Tier 4. So, I would gain 130 billion gold, 278,000 essence, 42,000 AC relic points, and 250 tech scrolls. So, it's a little bit of everything, essentially. But, again, you won't really get into that place for quite a while. Just because what I do recommend doing is, you know, just maxing out your maxables first. For example, like jackpot chance, you know, 10 times gold, things like that. Like, they are definitely much more better, in my opinion. So now that we've actually looked at the upgrades and things like that, let's actually look at the gameplay. So when you start off on a game like this, you will obviously keep going until you hit a wall. Basically, when your enemies have way too much health, you're not really getting any more kills, so you can't really progress. What you would do in that case is you would hit prestige, and then you would actually prestige. And what this will do is it will essentially put you onto a new map. There are 5 maps in the game, and it will reset you back at wave 1. You can carry on earning gold again and things like that. So if I just load my layout, because, you know, I've already got all my layouts saved, just for that little bit of extra speed. Aside from that, there are other things you can do as well. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. So there are other things you can do as well. So there are 3 things you can summon, which you actually have to kill to gain the benefits. The first one is the drone swarm, which spawns a continuous swarm of drones that fly around the map at random, and it lasts for 30 seconds. However, what makes this good is they each drop 64.3 times gold. So if I hit play there, as you can see, they start coming up every so often, but look at the amount of gold they're dropping. So I mean, that's 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, 5 million, 26 million, and so on and so forth. So these drop a lot more gold than the regular actual monsters do as well. Now, what you would then do with this gold is very simple. You would basically just use it to level up your towers. So as you can see, I just went from level 1 all the way up to level 5,000 essentially. Now, that's obviously because, though, I already have a lot of gold bonuses, so my gold gain is already much, much higher than what a newer player would have on this. Next up, we have the cargo carrier. Now, the cargo carrier is essentially a long cooldown, but it does drop quite a few things. So, look at that gold drop. It is 11,000 excuse me, it is 11,000 times gold drop, 400 essence, and 20 gems. So this is going to be a massive, massive gain. Now, what I would suggest doing with this, because it actually has a cooldown of about 2 hours, I would actually suggest saving it until your skills are off cooldown. For example, you have a skill that gives you like 500 to 750% more EXP, more gold, more essence, and things like that. So it's definitely a good idea to save this until it lines up with your skill usage. Another good thing you can do as well, if you're close to getting a double gold reward from the ad robot, I would save it for that as well, because these things all do multiply together, which would essentially give you a massive, massive chunk of gold. For example, the most I've ever got from the cargo carrier with, like, actually lining up all my buffs and things like that, is about 100 billion gold. And there are definitely people out there who are way further ahead than I am, and they'll probably be getting trillions of gold from a single killer from that, as long as they actually line up their buffs. Last but not least, we have the tech ship, and killing this essentially gives you 5 tech scrolls. And obviously, as I already mentioned, tech scrolls are used in the tech tree to unlock a bunch of upgrades. Now, the interesting thing about the tech ship, however, is every single time you kill it, it does get stronger. So right now, its health is 6.10 AY. So that's quite a lot of health. So because I only have at the moment 105 AL in damage, even if I summon that, I wouldn't have a chance in hell of killing it just yet. So I would have to keep going, level up my towers a little bit more before I can then start killing these. Now, you do get 1 spawn of this for free every day, or you can actually spend a increasing amount of essence to summon it. The amount of essence needed does actually reset each day as well, so don't worry too much on that. And now let's take a look at the actual daily reward, shall we? So if I click the daily reward, there we go. So total dailies claimed 29, 34.7 billion gold, 17,000 essence, and 50 gems. So quite a decent haul. And then if I wanted to level up, say, my conduit again, boom, now level 10,000. And obviously I'm only on wave 35. So that is the general gist of the game. So let's talk about how it is in actual practicality at this point, shall we? Well, first things first, for the tournaments, like, the tournaments are easy enough early on for you to actually get through the waves. However, for example, the tournament I'm in, like the bracket I'm in, I pretty much need to get, you know, sort of 4,000 plus to get any real bearing on the actual leaderboard. Now, to get to wave 4,000 plus, it's going to take a very long time. I could use boss rush, but then that would mean much, much less gold overall, which would also mean much less progress overall as well. So even though the game is actually called an idle game, it really is honestly the furthest thing from an idle game. It's like you do still actually have to have the game open, which is definitely a very big negative thing in my opinion for a game like this, because it is going to kill your battery very, very fast. Like, unfortunately, this is one of those games that falls into the camp of it's actually much better in the long run to play this on an emulator on PC than it is to actually play on your phone. Meaning, this is probably one of the worst games to use as a toilet game, simply due to the fact you'll never make any progress essentially, because unfortunately you do always need this game open to pretty much do anything. And obviously with the gold cap on the you know, the actual gold cap for when you're offline and things like that, then yeah, it is definitely a big negative in my opinion. One of the more possible changes I would like to see is for the wave to continue while you are offline, as well as a few ways to maybe earn a few extra gems. Just because, as I say, I mean, if you actually want to max everything out, you know, I mean, I'm a completionist. There are definitely other completionists out there as well who would like to max things. Yeah, it's gonna take you 49 years, and that's without buying any of the gems. Obviously, you could buy them, and it would speed things up, but you know, I mean, for how much you get, for how much they cost, personally, in my opinion, I don't consider it a worthwhile investment unless you need a small boost, like maybe the handful or the pile of gems. That's probably the only worthwhile purchase I would suggest. But obviously, everybody is different. You know, some people do like actually buying them and then making a nice head start. You know, and then let's take a look at premiums. Lastly. So premiums are a bunch of different abilities. Now, if you actually are going to play this game for a long period of time, then these are actually worth buying, to be honest. But if you're only going to play this game, you know, every now and again, then it probably wouldn't be that worthwhile, other than a select few. So, obviously, you've got your bundles right here, which are essentially just the same as the individual purchases. So, you can skip video ads. Basically, this one allows you to click the robot like I did earlier, get the reward without having to watch the ad. And then you get 2 times ad rewards, which is exactly what it says. It just doubles your reward. 3 times monster damage, so all your monster damage is tripled. Double gold, 2 times EXP, 3 times prestige points, 2 times game speed, and rarer monster boosts. So this basically just means you unlock rarer monsters easier. Now, the only worthwhile one I would suggest is if you're going to play this casually, do pick up 2 times game speed. However, you don't actually have to buy that with real money. You can actually just use gems you get from playing normally as well, because you can unlock a temporary 4-hour boost there as well. That is in game time as well, so that will actually save for if you know you go offline or something like that. Don't worry, that timer will not go down. Okay, so that is essentially the game in a nutshell. So let's talk about if it's fun and should you play it. Honestly, if you're just looking for a casual game that you can jump on for 5-10 minutes every now and again, then yeah, this is definitely not the game for you, unfortunately. If you're looking for a game that, you know, you can sort of play long time and you like these sorts of idle games, you know, something that you can put, like, get an emulator on your PC or laptop, leave it on for 6 hours, come back in the future, you know, do your upgrades, and then leave it for another 6 hours, you know, if that's the sort of game you enjoy, like me, like idle games in general, then I would suggest maybe looking into it. You know, see if it's your type of game, see if you can get into it with, and actually get any enjoyment out of it. Because the game does actually have a large community, like it does have a Discord server, and honestly, one of the best things about this game is the fact that the developer, Pbird, is actually in that Discord, and he is a very, very frequent poster. You know, as soon as someone mentions there's a problem, there's a bug, or maybe they themselves are just having an issue on their own end, Pbird always has a motto, you know, just send him a message and he will look into it for you. I know myself, I've had a problem in one of his games previously, sent him a message, and he did actually sort it out for me. He actually went, like, the problem I was having was actually a game related to the core program itself, like the core game code. So he actually, to solve a problem for me so I could play the game, he did actually have to go through and do a complete game update that fixed this issue that he was aware was actually only affecting me, so definitely big props to him. That's not this game in question, that's a different older game of his. But yeah, as I say, guys, like, I would say maybe give it a try if you're looking for something that, you know, you can put a bit of time to it, or you can let it run on its own, you know, maybe while you go out for work in the day, you know, just anything like that. Because once you do get your auto spells and things like that, it is essentially an idle game as long as you leave it on. It's not an idle game in the terms of you can turn it off and it'll just do everything for you. You do have to leave it on. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the first episode of Monday's Mobile Madness. I hope you've enjoyed the video, everybody. If you did, be sure to check out Idle Monster Tower Defense. It is available on Google Play and iOS. So, hey, you know, take a look at it. You might find that you enjoy it. Of course, though, guys, this is going to be a weekly series. Next Monday, we are going to be looking at a brand new game. So let me know down in the comments section what you think. You know, you enjoyed the video? Do you do a lot of mobile gaming yourself? And maybe you have a mobile game you want me to check out. If you do, by all means, let me know, and I will certainly take a look at them, guys. One thing I've been doing in my spare time lately is going through a lot of mobile games. So, I have a few I could report on, but I'm definitely curious to see what you guys would recommend. With that, though, everybody, I'm going to be ending this video right here. So if you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, then make sure you hit that subscribe button as well for even more mobile game madness. And of course, anything else I create as well. With that said, though, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.